Imagine opening your eyes into a biting, cold darkness, your heart pounding with the chilling realization that if you don't rise immediately, this very day might be your last. There's no electricity, no clean water, no hospital. Only a brutal, undeniable truth stares back. This world cares not whether you live or die. You awaken long before the sun dares to show its face. Not by choice, but because the unforgiving day itself will punish any slacking, any delay. The air within your single-room dwelling is bitterly cold and heavy with dampness. Lingering smoke from last night's meager fire still hangs low, stinging your eyes the moment they open. Beneath your bare feet, the packed earth floor is as hard as stone, polished smooth over countless years by generations of footsteps, skin, and scattered grains. In the oppressive darkness, the pig stirs, the chickens rustle. Their combined warmth, however meager, is more vital than your own fleeting comfort. This is your home, one solitary room. It shelters your entire family, your precious livestock, and the entirety of your existence. There is no privacy here, no quiet moment to yourself, and the world beyond offers no tenderness, no patience, no waiting. You eat before plunging into the day's toil. Not necessarily because hunger gnaws, but because you must consume what you can to survive the coming hours. Your bread is coarse, dark, made from barley or rye. Its taste is often sour, sometimes bitterly acrid, as it scrapes down your throat. You chew slowly, your heart clenching with the knowledge that this meager portion might be the only substantial food you'll see all day. You drink water drawn from the nearby stream or well. You have no concept of its unseen dangers. All you know is that sometimes, after drinking, those you love fall terribly ill, racked by pain beyond endurance. This is early, medieval England. And if you are truly here, in this moment, one absolute truth must pierce through everything else. This world cares not if you survive. But wait, before we delve into the crushing labor, the gnawing hunger, or the ever-present specter of death, it's paramount that you understand your place. For your standing in this life was sealed long before your first cry echoed into the world. You did not choose this life, it chose you. Society here is rigid, stratified, and utterly unforgiving. Power flows downwards from the elite, while all labor, all sustenance, flows upwards from the base, and nearly everyone resides at that very bottom. Roughly 8 or 9 out of every 10 people are peasants. Most of them are serfs, and that, unequivocally, is you. A serf is not a slave, but make no mistake, this is far from freedom. You are legally bound to the land you toil upon, not to a specific person, but to the entire estate, its fields, its pastures, its forests. They own you as surely as if you wore chains, though no one dares to utter the word. You cannot leave without permission. You cannot sell your labor elsewhere. You cannot simply decide to start anew in another village. Should you attempt to flee, you will be hunted down and forcibly returned. Your name is etched into the Lord's records. Your obligations are inherited, forever binding. If your father was a serf, so are you. Your children, in turn, will carry the same burden. This is not temporary, this is permanent. From an outside perspective, the system appears stable. The Lord owns the land. The church claims your soul. You work, and in return, you are promised protection. Yet, that protection always comes with a steep price, a litany of conditions. You owe days of labor each week on your Lord's demes. This is not a choice, it's a fixed obligation. You owe rent in produce, you owe seasonal taxes, you owe additional labor during harvest season, no matter how utterly exhausted your body may be. Shirk these duties, and punishment will be swift and immediate. There is no court of appeal, no renegotiated contract, no safety net whatsoever. The system endures precisely because you have no other recourse, no alternative. Now that you grasp who you are, the next question becomes unavoidable. What does this life demand of your body, day in and day out? Work begins at the first hint of dawn, when the air still bites at your skin and your muscles ache, stiff from yesterday's relentless labor. The agricultural year dictates everything. Your calendar isn't marked by weeks or months, but by an unceasing cycle of tasks. Spring plowing, sowing seeds, weeding, summer harvesting, threshing, and preparing the fields once more. You work with tools so crude, so rudimentary, that even people centuries later would find them shockingly primitive. An iron-tipped wooden plow, scythes that dull quickly, no machinery, no animals powerful enough to replace your own back-breaking effort. When the weather turns foul, the work does not cease. Rain soaks through your clothes, bone-chilling cold cracks your skin. Oppressive heat drains your very life force. Even winter offers no true respite, bringing its own demands. Mending fences, tending livestock, hauling firewood. Your body is never allowed to fully recover. Injuries heal slowly, if at all. Broken bones often set incorrectly. Infections spread with terrifying speed. A simple cut can, and often does, kill you. Many men in their 30s already walk stooped and gnarled, like old elders. We know this from the excavated skeletons that tell their silent tales. Worn joints, compressed spines, crookedly healed fractures, and clear signs of chronic malnutrition are etched into their very bones. These are bodies shaped by labor that began in childhood and never truly relented. This is not heroic labor. This is pure, unadulterated survival. All of it for one singular purpose: enough food to simply keep going. Yet food here is the most fragile of promises. Your diet is painfully meager and narrow. Most days consist of little more than dense, coarse bread and thin, watery gruel. A few sparse vegetables from your small garden plot, if you are lucky. Meat is a rare luxury, not for lack of animals, but because hunting is strictly forbidden. The forests belong to the nobility. To kill a deer or a wild boar without permission is a grave offense. Even gathering fallen firewood can incur a penalty. If caught poaching, the penalty could be a heavy fine, physical mutilation, or far, far worse. So meat is reserved only for rare feast days, if your lord allows it, or in desperate moments when you risk everything. You don't die of starvation every day, but hunger is a constant, gnawing companion. Even in a good year, the diet is profoundly lacking in protein and essential nutrients. In a bad year, it becomes deadly. A single poor harvest can lead to famine. 2 successive poor harvests can wipe out an entire village. No further details are needed. Everyone understands precisely what that means. But even if you manage to eat, there remains a daily gamble you cannot avoid. You drink water every single day, and every single day you risk disease. Rivers and streams serve every conceivable purpose: drinking, washing clothes, and disposing of human and animal waste. Shallow wells are easily contaminated by animal droppings, human excrement, and all manner of decaying matter. No one understands microbes or the unseen agents of sickness. When sickness strikes, it feels random, merciless, and utterly inescapable. Dysentery spreads like wildfire. Typhoid lingers relentlessly. Fevers burn through household after household. Dehydration can claim a child's life in mere hours. Adults might last longer, sometimes long enough to infect everyone else in the cramped home. Even monasteries, ostensibly cleaner than the villages, fall victim to outbreaks. There are no cures, only prayers, rest, and the slimmest thread of hope. When the day finally grinds to an end and you drag your weary feet homeward, no true relief awaits. For your home, like everything else, harbors its own unique dangers. It is hastily built, cheaply constructed, and crowded amongst its neighbors. Mud walls or wattle and daub frames, topped with a thatched roof. Fire is a constant, ever-present threat. There are no proper chimneys. Smoke billows everywhere, and your lungs will pay the agonizing price over the years. Livestock often sleep indoors during winter for warmth. Their warmth helps keep you alive, but their waste contaminates the air you breathe. Fleas and lice proliferate. Rats scurry freely. The sheer crowdedness fosters rapid disease transmission. Parasites weaken an already weary body. Your home shields you from the rain and wind. It offers little defense against illness. You might well ask yourself, how could anyone possibly endure such circumstances? Average life expectancy hovers around a mere 30 to 35 years, a number that sounds shockingly low, yet conceals an even more dreadful truth. Roughly 1/3 of all children die before reaching the age of 5. If you survive childhood, your chances improve somewhat. Some few individuals might live into their 40s, 50s, or even beyond, but death is never truly far away. Infection, harsh winters, accidents in the fields, life is as fragile as a spider's silk. And sometimes death comes from sources no one could possibly comprehend. Poisons. The next peril is invisible, misunderstood, and utterly terrifying when it strikes. You've understood how you live. Now you need to comprehend just how easily it can all end. In early medieval England, death isn't uncommon. It's not dramatic. It's simply ordinary. It arrives quietly, often without explanation. And when it comes, no one can truly prevent it. In damp years, a parasitic fungus grows on rye. At first, it looks harmless, blackened spots replacing healthy grains. When milled into flour, it vanishes completely. The bread looks normal, it tastes normal. But then, the sickness begins. Hands clench uncontrollably. Muscles stiffen into rigid spasms. People scream in agony. Some convulse uncontrollably. Some hallucinate vividly. Others feel an intense burning sensation in their limbs, as if they are being consumed by fire from within. The villagers believe God is punishing them. The priest preaches repentance, yet the true cause is the very bread they consume daily. Entire communities can be afflicted simultaneously. The symptoms are so violent that the epidemic appears like a frenzy, sweeping through the village. In extreme cases, blood circulation fails, flesh blackens, and fingers and toes begin to slough off. Many survive, many do not. And they never truly understand why. Poisons don't just affect the poor. The wealthy drink wine stored in lead-glazed pottery. They eat food prepared in lead-lined containers. They even draw water through lead pipes. The poisoning is slow, insidious. Headaches, confusion, memory loss, drastic mood swings. Over time, it ravages the brain and body. No one connects the subtle, yet devastating, signs. The very materials meant to signify status are quietly, invisibly killing those who can afford them. Poison alone would be enough. But in this world, it rarely comes alone, for sickness is rampant, and it bears down hardest on the smallest, most vulnerable children. If you are born here, survival is a brutal gamble. Approximately 1 in 3 children will perish before their 5th birthday. Some won't even survive infancy. Infections spread like wildfire. Malnutrition weakens tiny bodies. Waterborne diseases strike without warning. No antibiotics, no vaccines, no understanding of why one child lives and another dies. Parents learn to anticipate loss, not because they don't love their children, but because bitter experience teaches them that hope can sometimes be too dangerous a burden. Measles, whooping cough, respiratory infections, power. In the cramped confines of your home, one sick child often means the entire family soon follows. Fevers burn through bodies already weakened by hunger. Dehydration claims lives even faster than the disease itself. Burials are common. Grief is a constant companion, yet rarely spoken aloud. Life must go on. The fields still need ploughing. Food still needs to be grown. If you survive childhood, you might believe the worst is behind you, but it is not. Now, your survival depends not just on your physical body, but on forces utterly beyond your control. Religion shapes everything. The church interprets suffering. It defines morality. It promises meaning where none is apparent. Sickness is a test. Famine is a warning. Death is God's will. This belief offers comfort, yet also exerts profound control. For if suffering is divinely ordained, then questioning the very system that perpetuates it becomes a sin. The church needs no soldiers. It wields belief itself as its greatest weapon. Many actions are not merely crimes, but sins: theft, disobedience, illicit relations, questioning authority. Breaking the rules doesn't just invite legal repercussions, it risks eternal damnation. This mindset reinforces obedience, not because people are foolish, but because they are terrified. And that fear becomes absolute when faith intertwines with the law. Justice here isn't based on evidence, it's based on God's judgment. Punishments are public and brutal. You might be shackled in the village square, branded with a red-hot iron, or suffer physical mutilation. Your very body becomes a stark warning to others. But the most terrifying aspect is the trial by ordeal. If accused of a grave crime, your guilt isn't determined by witnesses, it's determined by God. You might have to grasp a searing hot iron bar, plunge your hand into boiling water, or be thrown into a river. Your wounds are examined days later. If they heal cleanly, you are innocent. If they fester, you are guilty. If you drown, God has declared you innocent. This is no metaphor. This times is times the law. In theory, the law applies to everyone. In practice, it absolutely does not. The wealthy pay fines, the powerful negotiate, the poor endure the full, unsparing brunt of the punishment. Justice, then, is simply another tool of control. By now, the dangers might feel utterly overwhelming, but there remains one final threat that eclipses them all, for it devastates not just individuals, but entire communities. War. War isn't a rare catastrophe. It's an ever-present, almost expected reality. When your Lord calls, you must answer. Not because you are trained, but because refusal is a grave offense. You abandon your fields, your livestock, your family. You are not a soldier. You are a farmer handed a spear. No protective armor. No proper training. No promise that you will ever return. Even if you survive, the damage is already done. Your crops wither and rot in your absence. Your family struggles without your labor. And sometimes, war doesn't come from a neighboring lord. It comes from the sea, without warning. Ships appear, villages are ravaged, food is plundered, animals are stolen, homes are set ablaze, people are seized and carried away. When the raiders depart, they take the future with them. Fields remain unplanted. Famine inevitably follows. Some villages never recover. They are abandoned, erased from existence. This is the brutal reality of warfare in this world. It doesn't need to kill you to destroy your life. Sometimes, merely passing through once is enough. Now you understand just how perilous life was in early medieval England. Hunger, disease, violence, poisons, they are all formidable foes. But not everyone faced this world in the same way. If you were born a woman, the path to survival narrowed dramatically from the very beginning. Your place was determined long before you could even speak your first word. Religion declared it natural. Law enforced it. Custom repeated it until none dared question. You were taught that submission was virtue, that suffering had meaning, that Eve's transgression explained your inherent position. To doubt was a sin. Your world was small, primarily within the confines of your home, largely unseen by the outside. You cooked, cleaned, spun wool until your fingers were raw and cracked. You cared for children who might not live through the year. You tended to livestock. You went to the fields when labor was short. Without your tireless work, the household would crumble. Without households, the estate itself would fail. Yet, you remained in a position of utter dependence. Marriage was not about love. It was an arrangement, a necessity. You married young, often in your early teens, not because you were ready, but because labor was needed, land needed heirs, children needed to be born. Once married, your identity merged with your husband's. Property was his, decisions were his. Leaving was simply not an option. But all this was still not the greatest risk. Childbirth was not an event. It was a terrifying gamble with life and death. No doctors, no sanitation, no understanding of infection, only a midwife, her limited experience, and desperate prayers. Some women survived birth after agonizing birth. Others perished with their first. No amount of submission could protect you. This is what survival looked like if you were born a woman in this world. No heroism, no grand tragedy, just a relentless, quiet endurance until the very end. This world, by all modern standards, should have crumbled. It should have collapsed entirely. But it didn't, because people bent. They lowered their expectations so profoundly that mere survival became a triumph. To live past 40 was a victory. To see even one child reach adulthood was a miracle. Hope here wasn't about progress. No one believed life would ever truly become easier. Hope was far more modest. A harvest that didn't fail. A winter that didn't claim lives. A child who woke up healthy. Those small moments were enough to keep going. And that is the truth people often overlook when they look back and ask how anyone could possibly live like that. They didn't survive because life was kind. They survived because they adapted to its brutality. They were resilient, not because the world cared, but because to stop was to vanish completely. When you imagine early medieval England, don't picture magnificent castles and powerful kings. Instead, think of the ordinary people who woke before the sun, their bodies already worn from labor, living in a world that offered no sanctuary, and who chose every single day not to disappear. That was early medieval England, not an age of heroes, not a romantic era. It was a world that didn't want you to live, and the remarkable people who lived in it nonetheless. But here's the part that should truly seize your attention, making it impossible to look away. These people didn't just survive. They accomplished something that even we, with all our modern conveniences, sometimes find harder to achieve. They carried within them an intrinsic strength that today's science identifies as resilience, the ability to bounce back after every blow. Imagine a 40-year-old man, his back permanently stooped from a lifetime of plowing, still holding his young son close and whispering, "Tomorrow, we'll sow the seeds again." Picture a woman narrowly surviving a perilous childbirth, still rising to wipe away her tears and return to spinning wool because her family depended on her. They had no psychology, no antidepressants. They had only each other and a quiet, unyielding determination to simply keep living. From the perspective of one who has witnessed countless generations, I recognize that this story is not merely distant history. It is a profound mirror held up to us, the elders of today. You sit in your warm room now, perhaps fretting about aching joints, about distant grandchildren, about sleepless nights. Yet our ancestors faced pains 100-fold more severe, often without a single complaint. They teach us that resilience isn't about not feeling pain. Resilience is about feeling the pain and pushing forward anyway. And that very strength, if we choose to carry it with us today, will help us live more robustly, love more profoundly, and leave a more meaningful legacy for our descendants. This story doesn't remain confined to the past. It serves as a potent reminder that every hot meal on our tables, every visit to a doctor, every grandchild's smile is a precious gift our ancestors paid for with their very blood and sweat. Cherish it. Tell your children and grandchildren this story, not to instill fear, but to foster a profound understanding of just how precious life today truly is. And most importantly, carry that spirit of unwavering resilience into every remaining day of your own life. When difficulties inevitably arise, remember, your ancestors overcame challenges immeasurably harsher. You, too, possess that strength. If today's story resonated deeply within you, Please show your support by hitting the like button. Your action helps amplify this powerful message of resilience, sharing it with others who might need to hear it. Consider sharing this video with your loved ones, your children, grandchildren, or a dear friend, especially if they could use a powerful reminder that their inner strength is far greater than they realize. For those of you drawn to continue this fascinating journey, to delve deeper into the forgotten worlds of our ancestors, to uncover the authentic tapestry of their lives, and to glean even more profound insights into the wellspring of human resilience, then be sure to subscribe to our channel and activate the notification bell. Together, we will explore these profound narratives, not merely for nostalgic reflection, but with a deliberate purpose, to truly learn from the past and to cultivate a deeper appreciation for the precious life we are privileged to live in the present. Thank you so much for staying with us right to the very end of this video. We look forward to seeing you again in our next exploration.